encourage your soul, enlighten your mind, and empower your faith. This is the Light Network. If you want to be a serious Bible student, a successful servant, and a powerful preacher, this is the podcast for you. Hello and welcome to Preachers in Training. My name is Robert Hatfield. This is the podcast where we talk about all things preaching and ministry. And it's that time again. I know it's not Thanksgiving yet, but cue the whatever Christmas song you prefer. We call it the Holiday Gift Guide for Ministers. This is the 2021 edition, and it is not a holiday gift guide episode without the Chad Landman, who joins us once again from Columbia, Tennessee, where he serves the Gray Mirror Church of Christ. Welcome back, Chad. How are you?
I'm very well, Robert. How are you, man? It's great to be here. It is wonderful to be asked once again, and I must be doing something right coming back year after year. So
this is fun. This is a fun episode, and we do these. We do a Thanksgiving episode that's a little lighter, and we do the gift guide episode. And I thoroughly enjoy this. I can't geek out too much because people complain and they say no, not as much tech stuff. But at the same time, I think this serves a practical purpose. These are just some neat items that are on Chad Landman, Brotherhood Tech Gurus list.
Well, and I think, when it's a little bit of a lighter episode, of course, but I look at these and when I come up with this list every year, I think, what would a person in ministry, what would a preacher, a teacher, an education minister as myself, a youth minister, what kind of tools and what kind of things would they find valuable, and what kind of budget would they have, most importantly, because some of this stuff is not incredibly inexpensive. And so, I think about it every year. And so this is good preacher centric tools, but I think it's going to be worthwhile.
Can I ask a question? This is completely off script.
Sure.
What do you do with your old devices? The devices that not only are just a little out of date, but you don't use them anymore. Do you trade those in? Do you sell them back, to get some credit for something? Do you keep them and enshrine them somewhere as memories of days gone by? What do you do with that stuff?
I have a few special ones that I have kept. Like I have a first generation iPhone that I have from 2007 that is pretty neat. It wouldn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't even turn on. It's toast, but it's neat to have. Yeah. It's just a paperweight basically. But other than that, really, I'm glad you asked that question, because I'm in a little bit of a selling spree. I looked around and I saw all these old devices just in my office here that I needed to get rid of, and that were worth, not an incredible amount of money, but worth 40, 60, 80 bucks here and there. I've got several old iPads that were, I sold an iPad for $65 the other day on a site called Mercari. And it was from 2013. And so, I really like Mercari, by the way. eBay just kind of rubbed me the wrong way for a while, and I kind of got away from them. And plus you have to wait 7 days if you want to sell something there. And so you set something for a price here, and you gradually lower it over time if it doesn't sell. And eventually it sells, and it's pretty easy, and people can make you offers and stuff like that. But I've sold. Cool. I tend to sell my old devices. I sell iPads and old Kindle Fire tablets and little Android tablets that I bought here and there on a whim, and I've made some Christmas money back, and so that's good. I can just hand it right over to the wife, and we can get we have three little boys. So Christmas is big these times. But I tell you what, Apple has a very good trade-in program.
Good to know.
If you got an Apple device that's, I traded in 2 iPads that one of them was completely broken. Somebody had broken it in half. It had, everything, but the screen was bent, the casing was bent, everything was bent, wouldn't turn on. I had one that was so old that it also would barely turn on. And they gave me like $40 and they recycled them for me. So I got $40 I can use. There you go. Apple trade-in. That's the exact side that I used right there. And it's pretty good. Now, if you have got a device if you want to trade in your MacBook from like 2017 to get a new one, they will give you some pretty decent trade-in values. This is not like going to the bookstore after your semester's over and trading in your books. You bought the book at college for $120 and they're going to give you
Yeah.
$7 back for it.
Yeah.
This is not that kind of thing. Like most of the time you'll get half what you paid or more,
Okay.
especially for high demand items like MacBooks and iPads. So
all right.
it's very good. That's what I do. There you go.
Yeah. Part of the reason I asked is because I have a lot of old Macs and Apple things. And yeah, it brings me some degree of joy to see them because I'm sort of a nerd about this kind of stuff, but at the same time, I just think about how it served me and the things that I was able to do with it. And maybe I'm a sentimentalist, and in fact, I'll confess that I am. But at the same time, it's neat, and that made me think of this holiday gift guide for ministers. Okay, we can talk about a lot of things. This is generally a techie sort of holiday gift guide. If we brought Brad McNutt from Book Club, he would give you all the book recommendations, and maybe that's an episode he ought to do over there. But more of a techie thing. And should we give the disclaimer that this is going to be a little more Mac, Apple-y centric kind of
A
thing?
little bit. I would say at least 2 to 3 of the items on the list. We have 12 items on the list, and so I'd say it guaranteed 2 of them are Apple centric.
All right, and we're Apple people. I mean, you float in many waters, but some of us are a little more focused.
Actually, there's a couple of things on here that would be pretty universal, and so if you're a Windows or PC kind of guy or an Android kind of guy, keep hanging around because I've got a lot of little things, little gadgets, little inexpensive things on here as well.
Okay, all right. Well, shall we dive into the gift guide for 2021? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Here we go. And where do we begin today?
Well, I'm going to throw a softball first, and I'm going to recommend a book. So this is actually not tech. This is a book, and this is the Preaching the Sermon on the Mount. Now, I am actually teaching the Sermon on the Mount right now in a Bible class. I'm not a preacher. And I don't preach, but probably about 2 or 3 times a year. I do go and speak different places, but I found this book. This is a conglomeration of different papers and sermons by a couple of different people. And again, theologically, there's always going to be things that are, if they're not written by, members of the church, you're going to have to filter some stuff out. Sure. But so far, I have not found anything like that in this book. And I'm actually working on my second week in preaching the Sermon on the Mount, and I have, or teaching rather, and I'm using this to teach from, and it's really, really nice. And it's edited by 2 guys, and it's got some really good essays and sermons, of course, you can see there. And it's just, I found a lot of insight in it, and I've never actually taught through the Sermon on the Mount. And so this is going to be really valuable tool for me to use. And so I just highly recommend that book, and that's it.
Great. Preaching the Sermon on the Mount, The World It Imagines. Published back in 2007, it looks like. $15.99 if you buy it new on Amazon. By the way, links in the show notes for all of this stuff. Preachers in Training Season 14, Episode 14, 2021 Holiday Gift Guide. Okay. All right. We got the softball done. That's a solid recommendation, by the way. Love the Sermon on the Mount. All the resources available with it. Where do we go from here?
Well, we go from here to the most expensive item on the list.
Okay.
And this is the 2021 version of the iPad Mini. It's the iPad Mini 6. And I just put the Starlight link in here. You can do any color that you'd like or any size hard drive that you like. Most people, I'd say at least 75 to 80% of people can get by on 64 gigabytes. I have this here, this iPad Mini. This came out just a couple of months ago. It has been a fantastic little iPad. I mean,
look at the size of that thing.
So wow. It is, yeah, it's the size of it's a 8.3 inches. Let me turn it on here. Does not have Face ID. It has a Touch ID sensor here on the top, but if you can actually do that with 5 different fingers. See, it's really, really nice. Nice. It's got the Pro design. It's got USB-C, which is if you're a recent person with recent tech, USB-C is very, very important to have. But it's really great. It has all the features. It'll work with the Apple Pencil Generation 2 Apple Pencil, and I take notes on it. Let me show you a little sample here in my notes. that I take every Sunday here. So I've
I
got,
love the screenshots on Twitter, by the way, of your.
Oh,
of your
thank you.
notes.
Thank you
Yeah,
very
those are
much.
good.
Yeah, I try to share those, but this
Mhm.
is something I took Wednesday morning Bible class here, but it's just
Okay.
it works really well, and it's perfect size for note taking. It's perfect portable size. You can throw this. I mean, you should see some of the advertisements as well. They throw it in jacket pockets and jeans
Mhm.
pockets and things like that. It's not
Mhm.
quite that pocketable, but it's still very, very nice little piece of tech.
Yeah.
And I was thinking that this was around the corner. I did not know that it was coming out so quickly.
Mhm.
And I had the money set aside for it. It was great. Now it's not cheap. In fact, if you want to get into the iPad, you can buy the $329 version that they just
Mhm.
updated as well. And it is superb. My wife has that one.
Mhm.
But if you want something a little bit more cutting edge, works with the Apple Pencil 2, and you want a really nice, just digital notebook size. I mean, it's exactly the size of, I've got my, let me see if I can grab it here. I've got my Bible here. My Bible's a smaller size Bible, and it's the
Mhm.
same. It's basically the same size
Oh,
as that.
that's so handy.
So it's so nice to have, and I don't
Yeah.
have a very big. It's a relatively 6-inch by 9-inch Bible, and
Mhm.
this is one of the Cambridge versions, and it's a thin one. But yeah, it works out really well, and it's just easy to take around. It's perfect for teaching. I teach extended 45-minute Bible classes every week, and it's
Yeah.
perfect to display your notes on that.
You've always been a fan of the mini form factor of the iPad, right?
Yes,
Seems like
yes,
ever
I
since
have.
it came out, and they've done several generations of these. This is the first one in maybe ever, right? That the form factor has actually changed. It's got
This is the first one, yeah, since
yeah.
2012, I believe. The iPad Mini, the
Okay.
original iPad Mini, so it had basically the same design with a few changes.
Mhm.
This one is a completely new design.
A long-awaited upgrade. People are going to ask, if you're watching the video, you showed your notes there. They're going to ask what app you're using. I know the
Yes.
answer, but I want to hear you talk about it.
Do you know the answer? Because I've
I do
changed
know the
recently.
answer. Oh, maybe I don't know the answer if you've changed recently.
I usually use GoodNotes.
Okay. Yeah, I know the other answer.
I have sent. Okay, what's the other answer?
Notability.
Notability. Yes, Notability
Yes.
is fantastic, and I use it for one reason, because it
Okay.
can record audio at the same time in the
Uh,
app.
okay.
And when you can actually play it back, I put it in quotations, play it back like a movie.
Mhm.
And it will show you writing your notes as you're listening to the audio.
Oh, that's wild. I didn't know it did that.
It's
That is wild.
fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. That is wild. I have used Notability. I have it makes yours look ginormous. An iPad Pro. This is 11-inch. This is 2020 maybe. I got it last year.
Mhm. Yep.
But I love Notability, and I've used
Oh,
Notability
it's
for quite a
wonderful.
while. I
Yeah.
find it's really smooth. Maybe GoodNotes was the same, but it's really smooth when you're writing, and I love some of the nuanced ways they deal with highlighting
Mhm.
and things like that. They've updated it, and you can categorize different things now by what do they
I
call
like
them?
the little
Notebooks
quick
or folders.
selection bar, because I like to use a lot of different
Yeah.
colors in mine
Yes.
to distinguish different types of with the things I'm taking notes on. And so I love the little sidebar thing that you've got where you can
So
switch out
I
the
noticed
pins and
from your
stuff.
screenshot that you had moved it to the other side, and I
You know
thought to
what?
myself, I have
I
got
didn't
to
move it.
move that.
Yeah, I didn't
Okay.
move it. It was actually just appeared there on that side. I didn't even
That's
actually
just
know
where
you
it
could move it
was.
until later. So yeah.
Well, that's the way mine was. Mine was over here on the right, and I said, "Well, Chad's is on the left. How do I get that over there?" So I had to figure that out. But
And
yeah,
again,
it's a great app.
people will criticize, and they'll say, "Well, that's a really pricey tablet." And then you're going to ask me, you know, $99 or $120 to get an Apple Pencil? Really? You're going to
Hmm.
say that? Well, this is like for me, this is a once in a 5-year device.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly happy with this. I'm not going to buy the upgraded version that comes out probably in 18 months.
Yes.
This one's going to be perfect for me. The Apple Pencil 2 I've had for 2 years going on now. I'm using
Hmm.
that one, the same one that I used. And so, but there's nothing like the Apple hardware experience, because they
Yeah.
make everything gel and work just perfectly. And
Hmm.
it's the closest you can write and it feel like actual paper to me.
Yeah, you're right. And they the products are that good. They just
Yep,
are.
they are.
They just are.
They're not perfect.
Right. That's right.
People love to point out the flaws. They're not perfect, but at the same time, they are very good, if not miles better than most of the stuff out there, especially in the tablet space.
Yeah. How about I know you've toyed around, and you and I both follow tech gurus who are moving more and more toward an iPad workflow. There are a lot of reasons why people like you, certainly as more power users, even some of the stuff I do with the podcast work sort of prevents us from going exclusive to an iPad workflow. Obviously, you're teaching from it. You're using it and taking notes and things like that. Uh, then you throw in the mini form factor, and I'm sure maybe that carries on a different purpose or something than maybe a larger form factor does. Where are you on that spectrum these days? You're
Well,
going to camp here a while, apparently. Sorry.
Okay. Well, I I was about to say, how long do we have today, Robert?
Yeah, I know.
So my history has been, when the iPad Pro came out a couple of years ago, I really thought, man, this is one of those things that like I could, with that keyboard case and the mouse
nice.
support and the Apple Pencil support with it, and this whole idea of a modular computer. It could be a desktop computer that I can write on and type on, or it could be something I take notes on, or it could be something that I watch Netflix on and all sorts of stuff. Like it could be anything for me, except that the real power user stuff that I needed to do. So when COVID hit in March of 2020, I had to immediately go into being a full-time video production guy.
Yeah.
And you just can't do that kind of stuff at scale on an iPad. I say you can't. You can. It's just much more difficult.
Yeah.
And so I recommend most preachers, most teachers, most ministers, in fact, an iPad Pro with a keyboard case will accomplish almost everything that you want to do. Yeah. And all you got to get used to is the file system and things like that. I personally have since moved back to the Mac, and I'm glad I did, because they've made a lot of good strides with the Mac, especially since they came out with the last MacBook Pros and new processors, and they've just really, put their focus back on the Mac, and it's been really great. And it's good to see. And I have been reserved to the fact that the iPad for me is a display and consumption device. It's not something that I necessarily create with. I'll compose an email every now and then on it. I will, edit a photo or something like that on it. I'm not going to be editing video on an iPad mini. I'm not going to be doing any kind of big projects on an iPad mini. It's going to be on my Mac. And so, but the main thing that I get for my iPad and the iPad mini as well is just a display device to be able to sync all my notes that I use to teach all the time, the notes that I use to speak from. They're all right there. They're in drafts, and I use something called Obsidian now, that is a kind of a Dropbox database program that you can kind of put your text files in and all that kind of stuff, and it fits perfectly in with what I've used in the past. So yeah, that's in a nutshell, that's why I've moved. But for most people, if you're not doing hardcore video stuff, absolutely look at an iPad.
And hardcore meaning, like you said, you were churning out 10 videos a week. During the height of the COVID stuff.
10 videos a week. I was trying to take footage from a Sony camera. If you want to do an all iOS workflow, like I would love to do that. But these the iPhone 13s, their cameras are just, and I can say this, Robert, and again, we're staying on this probably longer than you want, but with the iPhone 13, it's the first camera that I can look at as a DSLR user, as a pro video guy, and say, I could probably use that now in place of a DSLR. The only problem is getting Apple's got to work on the workflow. They got to work on getting those videos off of the device so that you can edit them somehow else, either on an iPad or on a Mac.
Right.
But there's been several big YouTube channels that went ahead and videoed the entire video with an iPhone, and you didn't necessarily know it because the cameras are that good.
That's right.
And so you could do an all iOS workflow, but it's just something to think about.
Exactly right. If you're wanting to do videos, just a few here and there, maybe float out a few social media videos during the week or something like that. Yeah. Get the iPad mini for that matter. You can edit
Yep.
everything there. You can post it all from there, or, get your phone, whatever you got to do,
It,
you can use it in really
The
amazing
iPad
ways.
mini is a powerhouse. It's
Yeah.
got the A14 in it, the same chip that's in the iPhone 12. These processors that Apple is making these days
Mhm.
are just miles ahead of everybody else.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, the new iPad mini, and you recommend the 64 gigabyte size. We always talk about the sizes every year, and I remember that. But by and large, I mean, especially now that you got cloud storage in various forms and all of that, you don't need a lot of hard drive space
Yeah,
local.
you really
Yeah.
don't. And unless you're just downloading a lot of your music that you're streaming and things
Hmm.
like that, and I got actually another thing I wanted to tell you is that I spent the money for the 5G. So
Really?
I've got the
Okay.
5G version. Now that adds more cost, but
Yeah.
this is a little tablet that I can take
Yeah.
anywhere with me, and I don't
Anywhere.
have to worry because I go on a lot of speaking engagements, and so I don't
Hmm.
want to have to think about, well, I got to log onto the Wi-Fi so I can sync my text files and stuff like that, or
Yeah.
tether it to my phone and things like that. It's just right there, and it does it automatically. And most cell phone plans will allow you to just add that for $10.
Right. Wow. Okay, that's really neat. All right. Speaking of Wi-Fi, coming up next on our list, do you see that segue, Chad? I've been doing this for
Yeah.
8 years
Hey,
now, and I just
I
want
meant
you
to
to
put
know.
the item after that below it so we could stick with Apple stuff, but
Oh,
that's not a
sorry.
problem.
Okay, we
No,
can
no.
we can move. We can
I'm sitting here
move.
looking at it. I didn't actually move them.
Okay. All right. That's fine.
So
Well, then,
let's go with
speaking of,
the
yes.
go ahead.
Speaking of liking to listen to things,
That's a great segue. That's good.
downloading your music to your device.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. I'm done. Go ahead.
The third generation Apple AirPods. They
Yes.
are absolutely fantastic.
Now, if I
Um,
recall, AirPods were on last year's list, maybe? I don't
Probably,
I think we talked about them last year. So
probably, and
this is a 2 year in a row thing here. This is big.
the AirPods are. I mean, I would venture to say that everybody watching this gift guide probably has somebody in their life that has AirPods or they have them themselves. And
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I tell you what, I use them every day for multiple hours a day.
Mm.
I feel like a barbarian talking on the phone without my AirPods, like
I know, I know.
holding a phone up to my head. Like I'm like, what is this? 2016? Come
I
on.
know, I know. That's the
And
number one way I use them is by
that's the number
talking
one
on
way
the
I use
phone.
them as well. It's so wonderful. And I just cannot say enough about AirPods. They are just they're just wonderful. It's some of the most wonderful devices that Apple has made.
Mhm.
And they continue to iterate. I have the AirPods Pros, and I love them for the noise canceling. But these right here, I have tried, and I will probably be keeping them. And
Mm.
it's just like having the original AirPods, except they've redesigned the different heads to them and stuff. And
Mhm.
they have a little bit better sound, no noise canceling. But again, you cannot beat them. They're the best wireless headphones out there.
There's an aspect of this, and the noise canceling is a big deal if you're really wanting to listen to music or watch something or all of that. But I kind of like if I'm talking on the phone, actually being able to hear a little bit of the ambient noise in the room, just so it's
Right.
not completely sealed off. And when I'm driving and I'm talking on the phone, I don't have a fancy like go through the speakers of my car system.
Uh-huh.
So I'll put one AirPod in on the in my right ear so that the left ear is still open to the traffic
Yep.
that's around me. But
That's a good, I do
yeah,
that all the time as well.
yeah, it's
And
great stuff.
we're back to, I don't know about where you live, but in Columbia, that we've got some nice little coffee shops here, and we're kind of back to
Mm-hmm.
doing those kinds
Mm-hmm.
of things. And I like the AirPods Pro, and they're not too much more. These are AirPods Pros right here. They're not too much more than the new AirPods here. And they do have the noise canceling, and it's just one little squeeze, like a 2-second squeeze, and it turns on that noise canceling for you. And it's really
Oh wow.
valuable when you're in a
Mm-hmm.
coffee shop and there's some, I don't know, annoying music on or something you just really don't want to hear. I've gotten to where I listen to a lot of instrumental music while I work, and it's helpful for me. So that actually works out really well. I've heard the noise can. I've not been on a plane since I had these. I've had these for probably 2 years now, but I have not been on a plane since I had these. But I have heard that if you travel on airplanes, AirPods Pro are the greatest things to have for the noise canceling. So just to keep AirPods in general in mind.
Absolutely. All right. So the new Apple AirPods 3rd generation are $174.98 on Amazon, and it's really good stuff. That little case that you were holding up your Pro case a minute ago, but they all have a little case as well, and that's cool. It charges them and all that good stuff.
It charges them wirelessly. They got a little wireless thing on the back, and you just put them down on a deal, and they just charge wirelessly. It's very nice.
Wow. Yes. All right. Wonderful. Holiday gift guide rolls along. Can we go back now to Wi-Fi, please?
Yes, we can go back to Wi-Fi. Robert, when was the last time that you replaced your Wi-Fi router in your home?
So this is the thing, right? And it is a terrible answer that I have, but it's been far too long. A and B, I need to get away from just using the thing that the internet service provider gives me.
Right. Now, this is a mixed bag, though, because you said something that's very important. You may not be able to use your own equipment sometimes, and you might be in a situation with that if you have checked or not. I don't know. Sometimes you can't. I am fortunate to have an internet service provider here in Columbia that does not care what you use. They just run the wire to your house, and after that, it's your responsibility to figure it out. And I kind of like it that way. Most people don't. But if you can,
explain why this is a big deal, right? I mean, so if you are able to use your own equipment, there are some advantages, right?
So the main advantage is that you don't pay $5 or $10 a month. Usually they will, if you look at your bill, they will charge you $5 for this, $5 for that. They'll charge you for the modem and for the router. Sometimes they'll combine the modem and the router together, and that's never a good idea. Like it's like a printer, scanner, fax machine, copier. I mean, they never did any of those very well. So you always want to have separate devices there. And so what I recommend here is the Amazon Eero Pro mesh router. And you may have heard of mesh routers before. Just think about somebody putting a giant tarp or a blanket over your home with Wi-Fi. Instead of it being just a single point, these actually blanket your home with Wi-Fi. And
so you can get multiple of these, right? And they sort of talk to each other.
Correct. You can get you get the main unit there, and it will plug into your internet, and you can have that, and it'll cover up to 1,000 square feet. Or you can get these little beacons, and all you have to do is click on that beacon there, and all you have to do is basically go and put these and plug these up to power, and you can plug them right into a wall outlet, and the app will guide you as you're setting it up in your home. And it will say, it's probably a good idea to put your Eero beacon somewhere right here because the signal starts to get weak right here. And so you've got this overlapping fields and blankets of Wi-Fi in your home, and it covers it just so much better. This is the Eero 6, the Pro. And we actually were able to upgrade to gigabit Wi-Fi speed at our home here in Columbia. Wow. And it really helped us out getting a really top speed. We get 980 some odd megabits down, and it's fantastic. But I don't have a big home. One router for me works. And if you have something bigger than about 1,500 square feet, then one Pro router and one beacon work for you. And it's not not the cheapest router out there. And you can probably get these at Walmart as well. But again, I highly recommend them. I like them for their Eero Secure service. I pay $2 a month for that, and because I have 3 little boys, I can be very granular and selective in the things that I block on their devices, and I can block their individual devices. I can block different things. I can use internet filters on certain devices, and then me and my wife can, have some blocks on ours as well, but not have quite as many, and we can cater that to our needs as well. So it's really, really nice.
And if you've ever heard Chad's active digital parenting, is that active digital parenting?
Yes, sir. That's it.
Yeah. I was questioning the A, but anyway, If you ever heard Chad's active digital parenting seminar, then you know why it's so important to be up to date on the security aspects of that as well. So it seems that there are several benefits to something like this. Number one, you're using your own stuff. That'll save you a little money off your internet
Hmm.
bill. We could
Hmm.
all use that. Number two, because of updates and things, sometimes you might pay for a certain speed of internet, but because the hardware that's coming into bringing the internet into your home is outdated, you're not getting those speeds. And
That's
so
correct.
some hardware like this could be helpful. And then C, maybe last but not least, is the security aspect of that. And is
Hmm.
this one of those deals where, like, if I want my kids' devices not to work on the internet past 8 p.m., I can set that kind of thing up, right?
You can
So,
set that kind of thing up, and it will give
mhm,
them. It will actually turn off the internet to that device at a certain time
yeah.
whenever you want. You can schedule that. You can not have to worry about doing that or anything like that. And it's only about
Mhm.
$2 or $3 a month to be able to do that. And you can pay them. I think it's $100 not $100 a year. I think it's like $50 a year
Oh,
that you
wow.
can pay them for that. So it's not terribly expensive. If you have kids, you need something like this.
Yeah.
A lot of the other routers out there, the Google routers, the Orbi routers, you've got Linksys, and they all offer something similar.
Mhm.
I have found that gives the best speed in my tests, at least the ones that I've tried out. It gives the
Mhm.
best speed. It's also able to has the best app design as well. They were bought by Amazon
Mhm.
about 2 years ago, maybe. And I don't like that necessarily, but so far I've had no problems, and I've still
Okay.
been an Eero user. Normally, I wouldn't buy something from a big company like that, especially a data-driven company like that. But
Right.
I've had no problems. There hasn't been anything pop up on our internet say, "Hey, you can buy that on Amazon." It's nothing. Nothing has
Yeah.
happened like that.
That's
So
the problem. Yeah. Okay. Very good. I'm sure this question is going to come up. Maybe a preacher's hearing this and thinks, "Oh, we need to upgrade our Wi-Fi at the church building." Would an Eero or something like that be a decent option for an average size or smaller size kind of church building?
yeah, for an average smaller size church building, of course.
Mhm.
For something a little bit bigger, you're going to want to go a little enterprise grade with that.
Yeah.
And you can set up, various different systems and stuff for that. There's a million different ways you can set stuff up like that. But
Mhm.
for your average, just smaller church building, you can get one of these. You can get a pack of 3 of these actually, and
Oh.
it's going to give you pretty decent coverage, especially if you don't have a super old church building with, lead paint in the walls and things like
Yeah.
that. You're going to have a pretty good service in your church building.
Okay. Very good. Wow, I could talk about all these things endlessly. But I cannot talk about this next one endlessly because I've never done anything with it.
Oh,
A
Robert. Oh
Raspberry
man.
Pi, and
We're
no, this isn't something you
It's not
eat.
a this is not at a potluck meal. This is not a Raspberry Pi at a potluck meal. This is one of the I just picked out this kit. I don't know.
Okay.
Vilros is a brand of the kit, not the Raspberry Pi. But there's
Okay.
a Raspberry Pi is just a tiny little what they call an SBC, a single board computer,
Mm-hmm.
meaning everything you need, the processor, the RAM, the hard drive, it's all on
Hmm.
this tiny board. Now this is the
Yeah.
brand new Zero 2. And when they say
Okay.
02, like this thing is like, I wish I had brought mine, but they're all at home and I'm working on them. But I mean, it's the size, half the size of a credit card.
Mm.
Like it's as long as a credit card, but it's half the width. And it is
Wow.
amazing how tiny these things are.
Mm-hmm.
And you can run a full operating system on these. All you have to do is download it free from the web. You flash an SD card, one of those little tiny mini SD cards. You put that
Mm-hmm.
thing in, that's the hard drive, and you plug this thing up to a mouse, keyboard, and computer, and you are off to the races.
Wow.
Raspberry Pi saved me because we had so many members. I say so many. We had about half a dozen here members at Graymere that had no computer whatsoever
Oh,
to be able
yes.
to watch our services and to watch our live stream when COVID hit. And
Mm-hmm.
so I bought up a couple of these, and they have many different variations. There's the 3, there's the 4. The 4 is the most powerful and up to date one, and you can get those for about 40, anywhere from about 35 to about $55. And there's
Mm-hmm.
all sorts of stuff. This kit right here, there's all sorts of stuff you can add on to it and do experiments with it and everything. But the main thing I wanted to kind of put forth here is that you can buy one of these and get it all hooked up and use it as a low power desktop for someone that is in need, for one of your shut-ins, for one of your, I use it for displaying videos in my classrooms instead of buying a cheap $200, $300 laptop from Walmart and carrying it up to every classroom. I just build one of these. And, I put the right kind of operating system on it. Usually it's something called Raspbian, and it looks just like Windows, looks just like Mac OS. And you can go through Chromium and browse on the web and download YouTube videos to it and everything. And it's pretty fantastic.
How technically savvy does one need to be to work with something like this? I mean, you're talking about downloading operating systems after you build a little computer.
Well, so when I say build, I mean so basically with this right here, this kit right here, you would put the heat sink on it, on the processor, you'd put it on with a little tape, you'd click together the little plastic case, and then you've got your computer built. I mean, that's what I mean by building.
Yeah.
And then you just make sure that you can plug in your keyboard and mouse. And then obviously make sure that it gives you the adapter here to plug into a monitor. And that's what it looks like plugged up right there. It'll go to any HDMI display, and it'll orient itself properly to any HDMI display. And while this is something you can get totally nerdy with, you can also just use it for practical purposes. And I tape these things to the back of TVs that we have in our classrooms, and I just use them to put videos on so kids can watch them in classrooms. It's a super simple video player. And let me tell you, the best part about these is that if you buy just the Raspberry Pi board, the Pi 2.0 board, it's $15.
Yeah, that's crazy.
$15. And you can get a 16 gig card for $5 or $10. And if you have all the stuff, I mean, it's incredibly cheap.
There are no doubt YouTube videos and even online communities that are all about Raspberry Pi stuff, right? And if someone wanted a little more information, they wanted to pursue maybe even instructions on how they can do this, Google YouTube there are things out there, right?
There is, I mean, getting started with Raspberry Pi, there's so many simple things. If you download there's an app called Balena Etcher, and it basically is a fancy way of saying you can actually write an operating system onto an SD card through your SD card reader. So you can basically write that on there. It does it all for you. And then you just pop it into your little machine, plug it up, fire it on. And man, it is pretty neat stuff.
Good. Okay. And the Raspberry Pi, this kit that you've given us, that you've recommended to us, is $50, $49.99. So,
and it comes with everything you need, except obviously for your monitor, mouse, and keyboard.
Okay. Even the little, you still need to get an SD card or no?
I think it actually comes with
okay.
Let me see.
Hold on.
Looks like it doesn't include the SD card, but I mean, we probably have, if you have an 8 or 16 gig card laying around, I mean, that's the beauty of it. You can use that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Very good. And we move from this to extra battery life.
Oh yes. What preacher doesn't need more battery life, right?
some of us in more ways than one, but anyway.
Right. I can't tell you, I constantly see preachers with 10% battery life. This is the Anker magnetic charger, and I love this thing. I've got one right here with me.
Oh, nice.
They came out with this before Apple came out with their version of it. And let me tell you why I would recommend Anker's version over Apple's. Because one, it looks better. It's not white. I don't need a white battery hanging off the back of my phone. Wow. Plus I have 3 little boys, and everything white in our house is a little bit grungy. So it is magnetic. So I'm going to take this. This is my iPhone 13 mini. Okay. And you just put that just put that joker on like that.
What a satisfying
and it has already started. Yeah, it has already started to charge it, and it gives you a little charging indicator, which the Apple one doesn't give you. And it tells me that I've got 50% left on it, and it will stay on there. So I'm going to hold this right here, and it will stay on there like that.
Yeah.
And it's very, very nice. And it will charge your phone 1.5 times.
Okay. Yeah.
And so, well, depending on how big, so if you have the big Max phone, I think it'll
Mhm.
probably only charge it once, but it will charge the normal size phones and the mini phone 1.5 times, the big phone at least one time. And Apple's can't even charge any of the phones, but like to 80%.
Right. Yeah.
So, and it's twice the cost. And I really like this one as well, and it's been very fantastic to be able to put it on there. It'll work with any MagSafe case, and so if you have even an Anchor, an off-brand MagSafe case, or anything else, it will still work with that. But it's just like a wireless charger that you can just carry with you, and not really much more to say about it. It charges USB-C, which is handy.
Yeah.
And
the cool part is it looks like it does. Can you charge it via the cable as well if you need to, or maybe you have a different device that doesn't do the magnet thing? Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have to charge it wirelessly. In fact, I charge mine because it's a pretty big battery. And so I like to charge mine via the outlet here on the end as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. Very nice. Anchor.
Very good. Very good. All right. And that is $54.99 from Anchor. Good stuff. Okay. Are you a MagSafe person? A big MagSafe person?
I'm a MagSafe person, not Apple. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So you like the idea of MagSafe?
I love the
but
idea.
You're not brand specific.
Exactly. I cannot stand to spend all that money. Like I'm not going to spend $100 on a leather MagSafe case or whatever it costs, like $70. When there's ones on Amazon for $25 that do the same thing. Yeah. And so, especially with this magnet battery, I'm not going to spend $100 on a battery that won't charge my phone even once. This one is actually,
and it's
white, and it's white. And so I just love the fact that this is one. Anchor makes really good stuff. In fact, I have a really cool, I probably should have put this on my gadget list, but I have a really cool dock here that suspends my phone. Let me actually, you know what? Let me just pull it out here.
Okay. All right.
We're improvising here.
Improvising.
This is
nice. Yeah.
So this is a little dock, but down here is another wireless pad. See, this is magnetic.
Yes.
And it does MagSafe to that, but then there's another wireless pad down here that you can put AirPods or your battery, any other thing that you want to charge down there that's wireless. You can put another phone down there if you have two phones. Right. But this is
it charges that. I mean, even on the phone up there at the top, it'll charge.
Yeah, it'll charge both of them at the same time.
That's great. Wow.
It's really great. I forgot to put this on there, and I do not know what the name of it is, but it's an Anchor dock, and I love Anchor stuff. Yeah. It's the Anchor. Oh, there it is. The Anchor PowerWave Magnetic 2-in-1 stand. So if we want to add that, that's great.
Yes. Okay. Anchor ANKER.
Yes.
A magnetic 2-in-1 stand.
And that's a USB-C device as well.
Yeah. All right. Wait for it. I'm doing a little investigative work here. Is this it?
That's it.
Stand with 5-foot USB-C cable, $50.
Yep.
There you go.
It's perfect for your desk because you can just grab it and go.
Right. Good stuff. Oh, and I like that you can orient it horizontally or vertically.
It's very cool. Very cool.
And it's got it'll move 30 degrees. It'll tilt 30 degrees either way. Okay. Good stuff.
Should have put that one on the list, but thanks. Appreciate that for pulling that one up.
That's a little pro.
That's a bonus.
Bonus one. Yeah, that's right. Okay, but you have a different stand on the list here, and this is how do you say this? Nulaxi.
Nalaxi. This is one of those like, man, what are y'all doing with the names here? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
But really, I thought, okay, I wanted to put something on here that was just very cheap, but I feel like a lot of people would need. And again, this does nothing except hold your phone up. It doesn't charge it. It doesn't do anything. But I have found that it's incredibly sturdy and adjustable. Yes. And sometimes I want my iPad mini, especially. This is for the mini type stuff. This is not for a huge iPad. They have bigger versions. Notice it says right there, Nintendo Switch tablets 7 to 10 inches, kind of thing like that. Right. So this is a small one, and I carry this one with me when I travel. And so it's a really nice little stand to have when you travel, and it folds up into itself really nicely. But when you unfold it and it's got, in the docking mode right there, it's really sturdy. And I just really like this stand, and I thought I'd include it on the list this year.
Very good. It's right now there's a deal, $849 at the time of our recording. So
Yeah, it's very nice.
there you go. Little stands like that are valuable. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not gonna hate on that in any way at all. All right. Echo Show next on the
So
list.
this is one of those things that I bought on a whim, and I thought, because they were running some special on Amazon or whatever,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I think they gave us a all Prime subscribers. I think they gave us a Black Friday deal for like, $30, $40, something like that one year. And I thought, I'm not going to use this thing. Turns out I use it all the time.
Do you really? Yeah.
I do. And it sits right here on my desk. I'm not going to unplug it because it would say something, and I'm not going to say its name because it would actually say something back to me as well. But if you want to do it, it comes with an optional stand right there as well. I love this little thing. It gives me so much, information throughout the day. It obviously is a clock that can tell me the time because I like having a clock in my office. And it answers questions, and it can show me YouTube videos, and it's just a nice little screen to have. And plus it's a nice little Bluetooth speaker as well. And I just thought I'd include it. It'd be perfect I actually was so impressed with it. After a few months, I bought another one to serve as my alarm clock in the morning.
Oh,
and
nice.
So I have one by my bedside, and they got a little toggle thing. I don't use the camera. They want you to use the camera to, do video chatting and stuff. I don't use it for that, but you can slide that little button, and it permanently blocks the camera from seeing your bedroom and from seeing your office and things like that. So I really like
this physical shade that's going over in front of the lens. So yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
It's just a neat little device, and I really like it, and I thought I'd recommend it.
It's a good time of year if you're shopping for an Amazon device, because a lot of times Black Friday deals and things like that,
Black Friday, that probably will be marked down even more. Amazon wants you to, they would rather sell you something super cheap. They want to sell you stuff on their site. And so their stuff is not going to be incredibly expensive.
Yeah. Okay. What's next on the list?
Oh man, we've got a couple of really random things to kind of throw out here. But man, I tell you what, some of these little gadgets I've just been very impressed with.
Yeah.
And so we're going to start off with the Monkeys nail clippers. And I'm kind of not joking about that, because I'm like, who recommends nail clippers on a gift guide episode? But at the same time, these things are amazing.
Yes.
And this is probably way too much information, but my fingernails grow. I have to cut them almost every week. And it's just my hair. I've always had hair and nail growth. My mom says she always envies me for that. I wish I had nails like it. It's strange, I know. But these are very nice. They're super tiny, ultra thin, very tiny, and they fold together really nicely. And they have just, how it's one of those personal grooming things, I know, but when you're cutting your fingernails, it's just like this. It's like the nail clippers had one job to do, and they're doing it horribly. And I'm like, you have one job and you cannot do it, and you're like shearing off nails and stuff and I'm like, these will actually cut. They're very, very good at that. They're not only a cool little design, but they're really, really neat to travel with, to carry with you. I use them I use them every week. They're really fantastic. So just thought I'd throw those in there.
They're $7.99. So that's good. By the way, to your point, I had to get some of these key rings that you recommended last time.
Yes.
And, I still, don't knock them. I mean,
those are the titanium. Stuff. Yeah. These are the titanium key rings. Yeah. I still got those on my keys as well. Yeah, and I still like my Key Smart thing as well. I had those on the list last year too.
Yeah, that's right.
So keeps your keys hanging in your pocket and not bulging in your pocket. So
yes. Oh yeah, that's it. Okay. Very good.
Well, this next one, I think, though, Robert, is really going to hit home with some of our preachers because I know that a lot of our preachers are readers.
Yes.
And this is the really tiny book light. And when I say really tiny, it's really tiny, and it will fold up. I mean, it's barely the size of a pencil.
Wow.
And it's really bright. And so you can actually adjust the brightness, of course, and make it brighter or less bright. But, I like to read every night before I go to bed. And sometimes that's a physical book. It's not always on my iPad. It's not always on the Kindle. And so sometimes when I need to read a physical book, I turn that on. And so this is I found it really nice. I found them at at a Books a Million actually,
Ah,
and found them on Amazon for a little bit cheaper, and
you mean like
it
a
works out.
physical store, a real life
A
store?
real store that I went into and looked around.
Ah,
It was
ah,
crazy.
yeah. Okay. No, everybody could use a good book light.
Yeah,
Book lights have come a long way these days too.
they
There's what I
have.
was looking for. 5.9 inches long,
Right.
1.7 inches wide, and an eighth of an inch deep.
If you order one of these, you'll think there's nothing in the package when you get it. You're like,
Really?
somebody sent me
Yeah.
an empty package. It's that light and that nice, and it's got a tiny little clip that you just clip right onto the book, and I mean,
Mhm.
you're ready to go. It's great.
Very good. All right, and under $10 too on Amazon.com.
I tried to
Or
find
hey,
some relatively inexpensive
go
ones.
into a real store. You may be surprised what you find in real stores. Okay. And another practical idea coming up. I think that's all these are practical, but I mean these are like the down to earth practical kind of stuff.
Yeah, and this one is
Yeah.
just I mean, really, it's just a water bottle that I liked. It's a Takea
Yes.
vacuum insulated water bottle, and it's
Yeah.
a good size. What I like about this one, obviously, we all need to stay hydrated and we all need to drink more water, and I've been
Yes.
trying to do that a lot recently. And it's got a cool little hook on it. You can hook it to something, but also you'll notice it doesn't have one of those where you drink out of. It's got a screw top on it, so you unscrew it, you do it back
Ah.
like that, and the spout is not rubberized. I don't
Mhm.
know about you, but every one of the rubberized ones I've gotten has gotten nasty or mildewy or something like
Yes.
that, and this one doesn't have that, and it's just a nice durable water bottle, and I really like it, and I thought I'd recommend it.
Good. Really like these kinds of gifts. I mean, this is good stuff. And you're a big everyday carry kind of person, right? This is what I like
Yes,
about this. It's kind of like a life hacks is sort of what you're sharing with us here, which are good
yes,
stuff. Yeah. Okay.
and the last one is really an EDC item here. The last
Oh,
item we
yes, it
have.
is.
And this is, and again, I meant to bring this with me, but it is a tiny, tiny Leatherman. It's got it in the
Oh,
name, Micra, and it's about, I mean, it's probably 3-4 inches wide, but it's got cutting blades on it. It's got a screwdriver. It's got a bottle opener. It's got tweezers. It's got all sorts of different things
yeah.
and different colors. This is a perfect little tool. If
Mhm.
you want to carry something around, you've probably seen the big, huge Leathermans. I mean, they're like this big and you know 8 inches
Yes.
long and have a million tools on them. This one is keychain size. It is excellent. It is durable, and there's a lot of stuff that you can use it for. I find myself pulling one out of my pocket very frequently to do different
Yes.
things.
That is so cool. Nice. Very handy. 29.95 on Amazon. Very good. Wow. Well, we have a lot to think about. And, just go over there and hit add to my list and share that with people who care about you. And now they know what to get you.
There you go. There you go.
And maybe do it sooner than later because of the supply chain thing. I don't know
Yeah, I
anything
was
about
about to
that.
say you might want to get on after some of this stuff, especially some of the techie stuff. Who knows if
Yes.
we're gonna run out or not? So
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. In fact, I noticed the iPad link. It gives us a see all buying options. So
um,
that's interesting.
yeah, I
So we
wanted to put this on. It might be better if you just buy that directly from Apple, honestly,
Mhm.
if you're going to get that, because you're not going to get a really discounted price on much of the new stuff. But yeah, there may
Yeah,
be some supply constraints, so I would get your stuff before Thanksgiving for sure.
got it. Got it. Very good. Let me take a quick break and tell everybody how they can get in touch with me. But Chad, maybe before we go, the parting word, just a word or two about why it's important to stay up on this kind of stuff, and to try and utilize this stuff. A stewardship kind of plea here before we go. But I want to remind you that Preachers in Training is a part of the Light Network, a network of podcasts designed to encourage your soul, enlighten your mind, and empower your faith. TheLightNetwork.tv is the website. Go check it out. That's where you can find all of the episode archives from this podcast, Preachers in Training, and all the rest of them that you find out there available under the network. About 10 of them release on the weekdays, Monday through Friday, across a variety of topics related to Christian living, and we think you'll enjoy them. If you enjoy this podcast, we encourage you to subscribe to it in your favorite podcast app or on YouTube. We're creating a video version, and I think for an episode like this one especially, there's been a lot of things we've been putting up, the images and things like that as we've been walking through it. You might want to check it out on YouTube, and we're also releasing those on the Light Network's Facebook page as well. Speaking of Facebook, if you are interested in continuing the conversation after the show, search for the Preachers in Training Facebook group. It's a closed group. We like to keep the conversation focused on preaching and ministry. This is not the place to share your live stream or your Devo or whatever, but it is the place to talk about ministry and preaching. And if that has to do with live streaming conversations, then so be it. But anyway, we're not promoting a bunch of stuff in there. And I think that makes the community a really nice community to be a part of. We're focused, and it's a great place for recommendations or bouncing ideas off of each other, things like that. Search for Preachers in Training. We'll be happy for you to be a part of that group. Preachers at thelightnetwork.tv is how you can contact me, especially if you have comments or suggestions relative to next season. We are already very much planning season 15, if the Lord gives us that time. That'll begin the first full week of January of 2022, and I hope you're planning to be a part of that with us then. Every Thursday, brand new episodes release of this podcast from those podcasting partners and from our website, thelightnetwork.tv. This is the 2021 Holiday Gift Guide for Ministers. There's just something about it that just feels right every year about this time to sit down with Chad Landman about all these things. Some preachers hear this kind of thing and they think, this isn't for me. This is too much to keep up with. I can't keep up with these learning curves, all of that. Granted, Chad, you always do a great job. You've given us a very balanced list, a lot of across the board things for us to discuss and consider. We touched on this a little bit at the beginning, but what are your parting thoughts? I mean, why is this important to have the right tools that we need for the jobs that we're tasked to do?
Well, I think you hit it right there, Robert. I think you used the right word, and these are tools. And I was going to say, if you had a tool that would save you time, and energy and money, would you use it? And I think that your answer to that would be yes. If something saved you time, how many preachers do you know that just say, I'm so busy all the time. I'm so busy. I got to do all these things, got to keep up with all these things. Yeah. Well, I mean, what would you give to have more time and to be able to more simply do some things? And so I think about the tools that we use, and I think about the things that we can use maybe in this list to help us do things quicker, faster, more efficiently, so that we can really concentrate on what needs to be done. I have the time in my ministry because these tech things allow me to be so organized, and I don't have to spend hours and hours and hours figuring out how to mount a computer to a TV up in a classroom, that I can go to a funeral visitation and minister to our members this morning. Right. I can go to visit someone and help them out with their device at their home instead of fiddling around with something here that I've already been able to solve. And so I think it's very valuable. It gives me more time to minister to people and to help them in our congregation.
Yep. And that's what it's all about right there. And Chad, that's why I like having you on, because you not only have the know-how, but the heart that focuses us and channels us. It's more than just toys, they're tools. And that makes it a lot of fun.
Sometimes they're
tools.
But
it is kind of fun.
Most times they're tools, and it's great.
Thanks, Chad. We appreciate it very, very much.
Thank you so much, Robert. I appreciate it.
Links to all of this stuff that we've discussed are in our show notes, thelightnetwork.tv. Look for season 14, episode 14 of Preachers in Training. That's going to do it for this edition. Hope you'll join us next Thursday for a brand new episode. Until then, thanks for listening. Let's go preach the word.